There's this problem with feminists in video games. They're largely ignored. They're being marginalized. Their opinions just worth jack to all the gamers. The question is, why? Why are all of these feminist opinions ignored by the majority of gamers? Well, there are a couple of factors that lead into this. For one, they have ridiculous demands like, we can't have women who are white, and we can't have women who are sexy. For two, they open every conversation with, gaming has always been racist, sexist, and misogynistic. As in, they open every conversation with a middle finger. For three, they show their huge dislike towards the status quo of the gaming industry. And four, all of their problems come from nothing but their own personal anecdotal issues. This article highlights every single one of those problems perfectly.
Why are video games so gendered? The chauvinistic gaming world has always been hostile to women. A new book looks at how it got that way.
That's weird because the original title of this article is Why Are Video Games So Sexist? As shown here in the free speech archive. I guess these people realized that opening with a middle finger towards gamers isn't a great way to convince them.
When I was in college, I became addicted to a browser-based word game featuring cute animals. I couldn't resist it. I didn't fail any courses, but compulsive play took precedence over studying. At the time, I was living with several male roommates, and one of them, a seasoned gamer, scoffed when he saw me playing with the pink elephant and the pirate garb on the screen. Can I find you something to play that's, like, a real game?
See? This is an anecdotal story, as if this is supposed to prove anything, as if this is supposed to highlight the entrenched sexism within the gaming community.
In most conversations you have with gamers, real is synonymous with hardcore. These games have big development budgets and require hours of player dedication to complete. They generally refer to first and third-person shooters, RPGs, and MMOs. You're a soldier in World War I, or you're a soldier in World War II, or you're a soldier in World War III, and there are aliens. These games don't have cute animals. Often, they don't even have too many colors. In a hardcore game like the blockbuster first-person shooter Call of Duty, the color palette is so dominated by grays and browns that the brightest color you'll see is the red of your enemy's blood after you shoot them.
Absolutely yes to all of those. And if your games do not fall under those categories, then you are not hardcore. How is this a sexist thing to point out? If women want to be in gaming, but they want to be at the same level as people who play hardcore games, then you need to, I don't know, play hardcore games? Is it so hard for us to ask women to play games that are hardcore? If you want to be a part of the gaming community, you can't isolate yourself from the gaming community by creating your own. You need to actually be a part of it, right?
Ready Player 2, the new book by media critic Shiromaki, is not interested in that kind of game. Instead, the book investigates how the game industry perceives and markets femininity, with particular attention to what she calls casual games, ones that are cheap, easy to learn, and can be played for variable amounts of time, like Kim Kardashian Hollywood, Candy Crush Saga, or Dinner Dash.
Kim Kardashian Hollywood? I know Candy Crush and Dinner Dash. I played Dinner Dash for God's sake. Flo is one of my childhood crushes. But Kim Kardashian Hollywood? What?
From the outset, Chess is clear that while women do play hardcore games, they are considered outliers, marginalized, pushing their way into a space not originally intended for them. And those women who
stop right there. That's true if you consider them as such. We don't. We consider those women as part of us too. They are gamers that play hardcore games, just like the majority of gamers. The only people who are marginalizing them is you, because you don't play the same games they play, and you want to split them up into separate groups. Jeez, for someone who wants women to join the gaming community and live together in peace, you're only doing a great job at splitting them off.
And those women who play hardcore games aren't really Chess's concern. Rather, Ready Player 2 looks at games that are designed for women. And because games are a male-dominated industry, games created for women are often designed by men. Games' gender binary, Chess argues, is itself a product of design, often at odds with actual players.
So, casual games that are designed by men for women are games that women enjoy. I see no problem with that. Do you? Actually, do you want to know what the actual problem is? People who claim to be hardcore gamers when they're only playing casual games. The gaming market is and always be referring to hardcore gamers when we're talking about video games. It's not that casual gamers are excluded. We certainly have hardcore gamers who can play and enjoy casual games. It's just that what people are referring to when they talk about the actual gaming industry, the actual game community, they're referring to the hardcore gamers, the enthusiasts. To force the casual, easily digestible games to be included on the same level as hardcore games would be confusing because they are two clearly different demographics that appeal to different types of games. When we say gaming, we are referring to enthusiasts.
Chess make this dissonance on the topic of Ready Player 2, interrogating the very concept of what she calls Player 2, the industry's feminine ideal. Player 2 is the hypothetical female consumer, imagined by men, whose tastes drive games design and marketing to women. She is a white, straight, cisgendered, able-bodied, middle-class woman who yearns for domesticity and beautification and whose leisure time exists in 5-minute increments.
I still don't see how any of those characteristics matter. Well, maybe middle class and the amount of time they have for leisure and also disability, but anything else is irrelevant.
The Player 2 figure, Chess finds, makes a lot of assumptions about women's lives and leisure, that women don't have much time for games, for instance, and that the time we do have is spent on activities that mirror the emotional labor and domestic duties we are presumed to perform in daily lives.
Men also don't have time for games as much as they wanted. This isn't an exclusively women issue. From this point on, the article is going to describe the book, and this is important to highlight that there are two different people here.
Last month, I spent $24.99 on pearls in the free-to-play game Sunken Secrets, a mobile game wherein a blonde princess tells me how to beautify her island. Sunken Secrets checks many of the boxes that Chess used to describe games marketed to women: supernatural themes, lush aesthetics, few time constraints, non-sexualized characters, and low violence.
So, are you saying that these games are for pussies?
This is absolutely not one of the real gamers my former housemate had in mind. Games that are too centered on consumptive mechanics are often dismissed, such as free-to-play or fashion games, and are not accepted as part of the broader, masculine-based gaming culture, Chess explains. Women players are theoretically able to buy their way into video game culture, but they are never able to fully embody the nuances of that culture.
Well, you can't fully embody the nuances of the gaming culture when the kind of games that you play aren't the kind of games that people refer to when they talk about video games. These casual games are not even a % of what the gaming industry really is, because those games don't have bigger budgets, production values, and especially marketing. It's less about the masculinity and more about the quality and the budget. Sorry, but you cannot be included in the gaming market when you only play mobile games. It's like complaining that you're not included in a quantum physics class because you only read high school physics. You're only scratching the surface. You need to go deeper if you want to be a part of one. Again, you dismiss the women who play hardcore games as irrelevant for some reason, even though they are exactly the sorts of women whose examples you should follow if you want to join the gaming industry.
Unlike the more subtle bigotry of other creative communities, video game culture wears its misogyny, homophobia, and racism on its sleeve. The toxicity of gamer culture sure doesn't seem nuanced. When a popular white male gamer yells racial slurs online, other white men rush to his defense. When white male gamergators dox female designers, other white male gamers rush to their defense.
I don't even know where to begin dissecting this monstrously stupid statement. So people are going to defend each other for their horrendous behaviors just because they are on the same gender and race. Can I ask you girls this question, and I want you to answer honestly? Do you have people that you hate, and are those people straight white girls as well?
These aren't people I want to be associated with, and they're not usually people whose opinions of me I would pay much attention to. So why, when someone asks what I play, would I rather chew off my arm than admit to Sunken Secrets? I've never had a hard time talking about my addiction to Fallout New Vegas, a big-budget role-playing dystopia where you can kill and/or seduce non-player characters.
That's because you're dealing with people who are dickheads. Again, anecdotal stories that are not representative of gaming as a whole. If you play casual games, go right ahead. Don't talk about the gaming industry as a whole when you only talk about casual games. Don't complain when people question your legitimacy. If you don't like that, you can just leave.
If women exist in hardcore games, their armor frequently protects their nipples and pelvic floors, but little else.
Yeah? So? Last time I checked, cosplaying as sexy characters make women feel empowered. Hell, last time I checked, women yearn to become sexy. Women want to look sexy. If powerful, burly, macho, muscular men are the power fantasies of men, then shouldn't sexy, attractive, and powerful women be the power fantasies of women? Can you describe to me what the power fantasies of women are? Be a normal everyday girl in a normal everyday world? Sounds freaking boring, isn't it?
Trying on Player 1's masculine mantle can be a heady exercise in power fantasies for a female gamer, and there's no shame as a woman gamer in admitting that you like to murder or have sex with pixelated bodies, but somehow there is shame in admitting that you want to craft anagrams to please cute animals or use sparkly blue magic against a witch who looks like an anorexic Ursula. Fantasies coded as masculine, killing and screwing are cool. Fantasies coded as feminine, nurturing and beautifying are boring.
Well, you lied. You do care about the opinions of gamergators or the misogynist hardcore gamers. Otherwise, you wouldn't complain about this. Otherwise, you wouldn't point out to why certain games in certain genre are exciting to some people and boring to some people. Harvest Moon is a favorite of my siblings, and Stardew Valley is a pretty damn awesome game as well. There are also games like City Skylines, where your job is to not only nurture your cities, but beautify them. You can make games about nurturing and beautifying. You just have to make it really damn good and make it to have interesting mechanics. And let me remind you people, there's nothing wrong with playing these games. If you're into casual games, cool. If you're into hardcore games, also cool. The problem comes when you're not only trying to conflate the two audiences together as if they're the same, which they're not, or you lie about being a hardcore gamer even though you only play casual games. My question is, which one are you?
The idea manifests most clearly in the player's avatar. Protagonists in hardcore games tend to be muscular, broad-shouldered, alpha male archetypes, fulfilling a fantasy that the player is a strong man who can kill a bunch of enemies single-handedly with a comically oversized phallic weapon. Even casual, short-play mobile games targeted at men feature action mouth app icons, also known as mobile games with an icon of a guy yelling, suggesting dominance on a smaller screen. If women exist in hardcore games, their designers often have a curious understanding of women's combat needs. A heroine's armor frequently protects her nipples and pelvic floor, but little else.
Again, there are many women out there who have fantasies of being powerful, kicking ass, while also looking attractive at the same time. If you're arguing for the perspective that it doesn't make sense that women's armors only protect their nipples and pelvic areas, keep in mind that men also want to be Conan the Barbarian. Yes, he doesn't use that much armor when fighting monsters and enemies, but goddamn, he looks gorgeous, and it's pretty freaking badass. Hell, I want to be Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star. God knows how many times he ripped his clothes off when fighting bad guys. It doesn't make sense, but it's pretty freaking badass. I don't know about you girls and your fantasies of what you want to be, but I really want to be Kenshiro.
But in games targeting women, avatars have a conspicuously different look. If buxom women are at the heart of games designed for masculine audiences, then slenderness is at the heart of games designed for feminine audiences. The most common visual image in time management games is a slender, ponytailed white woman. Indeed, the avatars of time management and fashion games are featureless and sexless, with monochromatic, usually white skin, and 1 or 2 pixels suggesting a nose. Despite being unsexed, they still fall into categories of conventional Western hotness, thin, doe-eyed, predominantly blonde.
So, at first you have the issue that women are sexy, but then you have the issue that women are slender, sexless, ponytailed, white, and blonde. This is why people just couldn't be bothered listening to you. Your list of demands keep on expanding. The more and more you keep begging for something that I'm honestly not sure if you genuinely want it.
If murdering and yelling are the apotheosis of male power in the gaming imagination, inoffensive prettiness is the apotheosis of female power. Women and men alike are socialized to understand physical appearance as women's central source of social capital, so perhaps it's natural that flawlessness, i.e. featurelessness, is one of the main power fantasies marketed to women by this male-dominated industry.
Do you have any sense of self-awareness? At first, you complain that women in masculine games are way too sexy and it's the ideal male power fantasy, even though a lot of women strive to become as sexy as them. But then you say that games that cater to women, the feminine games, they have women that you want. They are slender, average looking, and dress sensibly, kind of like Flo from Dinner Dash, who is again still one of my childhood crushes. You got exactly what you wanted in your feminine games, and you still complain! Feminists! Do you see why people hate you?
But the prevalence of these gender designs and narratives in gaming raises some disturbing questions. Can this industry and the men who control it really only imagine men as angry, violent, hypersexual killers? Can they really only imagine women as pretty, featureless, and into cuddly animals? Ready Player 2 does not...
Stop. Wow. You have zero self-awareness. None. You have nothing. Did you just ask the gaming industry the question in why can't women be more than just pretty, featureless, and into cuddly animals, while at the same time complaining that people chastise you for playing games that contain cuddly animals? You are conforming into a stereotype while complaining that people are making games with that stereotype. Wow. I have never seen a spectacular display of lack of self-awareness in one article. This is just magical. How can this person exist spewing all of these nonsense? There are too many women in masculine games. Okay, here are games with women who are not sexy and are designed for you. Oh no, the industry is not creative. Well, here are some bright, colorful women who are sexy and kick-ass. That's male power fantasy. Okay, here's Dinner Dash. That's stereotypical. Why can't the gaming industry grow? We can't please you. That's the problem. We cannot please you because you have zero self-awareness and you don't know what you truly want. You just complain about them because you look at everything in such a negative light. Everything that we do won't please you. This is the end of the part where the book chills itself. Now we go back to the article and the writer is even more deranged.
These days, it's not too common for anyone to harass me about the fashion games on my phone, and when it happens, it's hardly worth my time to explain that I can't play Left 4 Dead on the subway.
See? See what I'm talking about? The stereotype that women are into cuddly animals or cute feminine things. They exist. I'm looking at one right here. Oh, you're asking if they can be more than just that. Well, they can kick ass and dress sexy, but we all know you don't like that. You can't make up what you really want. That's our issue. Every single time we give you something, you still complain. Also, my friends who can be described as hardcore gamers, they play casual games in their smartphones too. I still play Slither.io when I'm like really bored. So whoever the guy that chastised you on playing casual games in that subway is an idiot. And that shouldn't be used as a representative of the entire gaming industry.
These conversations no longer make me angry, they make me bored. I would like to talk about something else, but discussing why women play what we play and how we are understood as players pushes the industry to treat women not as genre, but as diverse audience. Ready Player 2 moves us closer to that mark.
No, they don't. By defending casual games, you're only pushing women even further out of the real gaming market, and therefore you have made yourself to be a genre, not as a part of the audience. By complaining about the state of the AAA games that are filled with straight, white, muscular, cisgendered men, you showed your disdain into the AAA gaming industry. You want women in the hardcore gaming industry? Well, they're already there. They're playing video games peacefully with other men, and they're doing well on their own. The underlying issue here is that you are just an unpleasant person to deal with. You're unpleasant and you cannot be pleased. You don't like the state of the AAA gaming industry. You complain that gamers and games are racist, sexist, misogynistic. You can't make up your mind in what you really want. You then complain in why people exclude and don't like people like you. Sure, I can probably accept that the gaming industry has an issue with the lack of women in gaming, but the solution isn't to separate them even further from the real gamers. The solution is to have them play the games that gamers also play. This book and this article only dive into separating women even further out of that target audience. You can even call it marginalizing them. You're not going to achieve anything separating women with the actual gamers. I don't know why you want to be a gamer while also saying that gaming is racist and sexist and misogynistic and homophobic, etc. You are very masochistic indeed. Feminist. Your number one problem is you can't make up what you really want. So think for a second, an hour, a day, a week, a month, a year, an entire decade. Think as long as you can in what you really want before doing anything or even opening your mouth. Think long and hard, feminists. Think long and hard. That's not a dick joke, by the way.